European airline Ryanair reported better than expected profit for the first half of the year. Joining us now to talk about the numbers and the impact of the grounded 737, Ryanair CFO Neil Sorahan. Neil, thanks for joining us. What are you doing?
Pleasure, Joe.
You're here at the NASDAQ today, right?
Yeah, here at the NASDAQ. Pretty excited about that, Joe. It's first in here. So
the company is here as well, right?
No, Ryanair is a European airline.
No, I know. I don't mean here.
We're quoted on the NASDAQ, though, and we've been here since...
You have some business here today.
Oh, yeah. We got, a lot of meetings around town today, so I'm meeting a lot of our big shareholders. I
saw it on our big billboard out there that Ryanair is here. And I said, geez, I wish we had the CFO, and here you are.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
The numbers, we'll start there and then get to the issues with the 737. But in general, how was capacity? How was business?
The business is relatively solid. I mean, it's difficult markets at the moment, but we saw our traffic or our capacity grow by 11% to 86 million customers in the first 6 months of the year, and we're on track for about 153 million on a full-year basis. Average fares were weak. They were down 5%, although not as bad as originally anticipated. And ancillary revenue, this is our teas, our coffees, our priority boarding, reserved seating, that performed exceptionally well. We saw a 16% increase in spend per passenger in the first half of the year. Costs are always usually important in Ryanair. Costs in a pretty good place. We saw a unit cost just up 2%, primarily higher staff costs and higher maintenance due to the delays of the MAX aircraft coming in. So, pretty good performance. And indeed, we were able to narrow our guidance this morning to a tighter range of 800 million to 900 million euro for the full year and maintain our cost guidance, which was pretty important.
What kind of discussions are you having with Boeing? I remember last time we had Michael O'Leary said the relationship with Boeing at this point was rocky. I mean, you've got over 200 of the 737
we do, yeah.
on order.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem not having the aircraft in the fleet at this stage, but safety is obviously 1, 2, and 3 in everyone's priority list, and we're looking forward to the FAA here in the United States, hopefully before Christmas, signing off on the aircraft, and we think EASA will probably come sometime in early January. Now, we have a slightly different variant of the aircraft, the MAX 200, so that'll take about another month before that's certified by the FAA and EASA. So we would anticipate to get our first aircraft around about March or April. Relations with Boeing are relatively good. I think they've done everything that they have to do at this point in time in relation to fixing the aircraft, but there is an administration and a safety process to go through.
Do you trust the leadership of Boeing?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
We have a long relationship going back many, many years. We've got 470 Boeings in our fleet at this point in time, and we're proud to be a Boeing customer, and we're looking forward to taking delivery of this aircraft when it's
No, the reason I ask
approved.
is obviously Dennis Muhlenberg had a very tough week in Washington last week, and I think there's a question between the balance of is there a mistrust issue, and this is why I was curious, whether it was with the airlines themselves or with regulators in Washington and other regulators throughout the world, and whether there's more benefit to having a Dennis Muhlenberg sitting in that role, especially given and trying to get this plane in the air because people like you trust him, relative to the issue of where regulators may or may not sit.
Well, as I said earlier on, safety is obviously every airline's first, second, and third priority. So it's important that the hard questions are asked. It's important that the hard questions are answered. And I think, in fairness, there were 2 difficult days last week for Dennis. He's through them, and now he's working on trying to get those aircraft back in the skies, and that's what's important.
So is that all you want is the aircraft back, or do you want do you need compensation? Do you expect compensation for what happened?
Well, I think it's reasonable that airlines like ourselves would receive some kind of reimbursement for directly attributable costs.
What does it cost you?
Our prime, it's cost me 1 million customers in the first half of this year, and it's going to cost me customers in the second half of this year. I'm looking at potentially 20 aircraft next summer in the fleet as opposed to originally 58. So it's having an ongoing impact on the business from that perspective. Pardon?
How do you put a valuation on that in terms of what you would expect Boeing to compensate you for?
Well, I think I'm not going to negotiate my Boeing contract here around this table this morning. We're having conversations, we're having discussions with Boeing, but our prime objective, just like theirs, is to try and have return to service off the MAX aircraft, which, to be honest, is a phenomenal aircraft. It's got 16% lower fuel.
And that's right. I was going to ask you.
Got 4%
you care about
seats.
costs. I mean, safety is 1, 2, 3, but you do care about costs, and that was the appeal.
Well, we're the lead customer on this aircraft, and it's rare that you can get an aircraft with 4% extra seats and 16% lower fuel, 40% lower noise, and these are becoming bigger issues, particularly in Europe at the moment, where carbon and ETS is front and centre on customers' minds. Ryanair, thankfully, has a very good story to tell on that front, with the youngest aircraft and 96% load factors. We've got the lowest CO2 per passenger kilometre, but these aircrafts will be, we've nicknamed them the game changer. They're the next step change in cost savings for the Ryanair group.
It's not just customers' concerns, it's also regulators in Europe who are looking at this very closely too.
Yeah, regulators, we won't fly any of these aircraft until the regulators are happy with them. But our pilots, our senior pilots, have been through the simulator at this point in time. They like the aircraft. They think the issues around the MCAS have been addressed. But there are things to do, and the process has to happen, and we will obviously respect that and follow it. One of my roles, apart from being CFO, is I look after safety as well. And, so safety is going to be hugely important, and always is, within Ryanair.